do this. So for a background with my personal relationship with City, Joey, or Chief as they call him, I can just call him Joey, it's his name. Joey is one of my original business mentors in Airsoft. He really helped, back when I was with ministry, he really helped me sort of, I don't know if clean up ministry is the right phrase, refine it, I think, sort of make it more of a professional appearance as far as kind of our rules and streamlining things and stuff like that. So Joey, who owns City, will always be an OG for me. I try to talk to him regularly. I spoke with him, I think a month ago. I think just kind of about some stuff. I sent him that ban list and see if he wanted to jump on that, things like that. So Joey for me is an OG guy. I think what a lot of people forget is City is one of my original home fields, because I was living, remember when I was a cop and when I was still getting into Airsoft, I was going to City because I lived in Stockton. So if you know where CQB City is, like, so here's City. So when you leave City, you turn right to go to the freeway and you turn left to go over the bridge and go back into the city. I used to live like 5 minutes from the city or so. So City for me is an original home field. It's one of my OG home fields. It's also the first, to my knowledge, the first NorCal field to have a tournament field or a speed field or whatever stupid marketing term you want to give it. But Joey and City are OG fields, bro. Like OG. My opening statement and sort of my summation, I guess, of a lot of the criticisms that players give that field is you don't, and this is what I don't understand. If you don't like that field, stop going. What? Why is it still, why do I have to say these things? If you don't like that field but you keep going, you're kind of dumb. I'm sorry, bro. Stop going to a place that you don't want to be at. What? I'll further this rant some more. Who pays? Who gives money? Who drives a distance to go to a business knowing or having a reasonable expectation that they're not going to have a good time? I'm sorry. It's just madness to me. Now, there's a lot of Bay Area dudes and that will go to City because they don't want to drive that far. You might have to drive far. If you're in the Bay Area and you want a spot to play at and you want just like a rec field to go to, it needs work. You need to go to Playland 707 if you're in the Bay Area and you want to play. If you want to just do like some public stuff, it's not much to look at, and you're probably not going to get as many. Actually, you might get a lot of games in. I don't know. Depends on how many parties they have. But go to Playland. If you want to get in on the tournament style of Airsoft and you're in the Bay Area, you really need to hit up the Savage Kids and go to Savage Land. It's not really a business field. It's kind of like their private thing that they do. But if you want to be a tournament Airsofter in the Bay Area, I'm telling you, you need to hit up the Savage guys and figure out when you can go and get down on that field. We'll go into that part in a second. If you go there knowing you're probably gonna get kicked out, you're an idiot. And I hope they ban you, bro. Like, I wish, this is coming from me, like the edgy godfather, I wish City would ban more kids. I do not like what I'm seeing online, on YouTube, all these social media. I don't like what I'm seeing. And you see these videos over and over and over, you know, week after week, month after month, they're posting this stuff. They're clearly breaking the field's rules, but City's not banning these kids. I wish they would ban more kids. This is coming from me. This is coming from the dude that's got panda patches on his chest ring. All right, so yeah, come at me, fight me, let's go. Notes and stuff. Now, for those who may not know, CQB City does have a less aggressive, a slower styled rule set for their main field. Something that I found kind of interesting, what I would call a main field, City calls a mill sim field. And when I say City, I mean this is the terminology that Adrian used. And stop talking crap about Adrian because he's really good at it. Adrian's an outstanding ref. That boy knows exactly what he's doing. He follows the city. Adrian's dope. Stop giving this guy problems. The main theme that kids have, or the main problem kids have, is they want to do cool, speedy, edgy boy stuff, but the field won't let them. But they keep going back and trying it anyway. You're an idiot. I don't know. What do you expect? What are you going for? I was there for their first Friday speed night, maybe like a month ago, something like that. Yeah, Speedside Mill Sim side. Yeah, perfect. I was there whenever, I can't recall when City did their Friday speed night. Wasn't a fan, stayed for a couple sets, just personally wasn't a fan of the layout. I thought it was too small for. I am about 6 feet tall, somewhere in there. I'm tall as hell, and I'm 215 pounds. I'm not a snake player. I know I'm not a snake player. I'm not some tiny little skinny Asian kid. So City for me is weird. So it's not a speed field for me. Plus, I have speedy stuff at my field, so why would I go somewhere else? But I wanted to go to City, tried it out. It's cool. I liked what they're doing. I really like what City's done with. Try to act edgy. I'm alright. I have no idea what I'm doing. City's doing a great job, I think. What I find interesting is it to sort of equate this into a non-airsoft thing. Who goes to a Japanese sushi restaurant and complains that they don't have lasagna? That seems to be what kids are kind of doing, to an extent. Now, granted, to tear my own analogy down at its details, when you go to a restaurant, they're going to have stuff all over, to attract people. You say, hey, sushi restaurant. Most people should know that lasagna is not a Japanese thing, so to really equate that analogy one-to-one, City would have to display themselves as a mill sim field, like with their signage and all that. Okay, I get it. Core concept. If you're a little speedy kid, you really have no business going to City. I'm saying it. I'm gonna say it. I don't really, they have a speed field, I'll kind of get in that into a second, but they don't, there's two different mindsets or communities, I guess. So you're saying a lot of kids will go onto the mill sim field or the main field, and they'll try and they'll break the rules, they'll shoot kids in the head, keep them also on the mill sim field. Davis, please confirm this for me. City on its main field, its mill sim field, has a rule where you cannot take intentional headshots. I don't like that rule. I like shooting kids in the head. If that's what they present, that's what I'm going to take. So I won't play on the mill sim field because I know it doesn't meet what I would want to do. If I play the way I play at other fields and I do that at City, I'm going to get kicked out just like everyone else. I know that. Because of that, I'm not going to go there to do those things. Those rules are not on the speed field. You can pretty much do whatever you want on the speed. But there's kids gorillaing each other on the speed field. Cool. You do that there. That's what separate fields are for. The problem really comes in with City when kids try to do speedy, edgy things on the mill sim field. You're breaking the rules. You should know this ahead of time. You're not allowed to do this. You did it anyway, so of course you got kicked. That's your fault. Know the rules. Where am I in my notes here? Got that one. Got that one. I don't have any sympathy for kids that get banned or kicked because they broke the rules. You know what the rules are. Now, I'll throw a bone to anyone that would show up to City for the first time. Maybe they don't have any friends to talk to about the field. They don't really look online about it. So they show up. So let's say you would have a player that would show up cold bore, like with no knowledge. They just show up for the first time, like, hi, I'm at City, I'm an airsofter. And maybe Davis forgets to go over a headshot rule, or Adrian forgets to go over a certain rule, and you break that rule, and then you get in trouble for it. Okay, that's a mistake. That's not really on the fault of anyone. The start of the day is always the busiest part of a field, this, that, and the other. Okay, I get it. That is an unfortunate thing that happens. That doesn't really happen. I have never really heard of someone that said, I went to this field for the first time and got kicked because I did this. I'm sure it happens. I haven't seen that narrative as much as I've seen the narrative of, I have a pig rig and a green combat shirt and a die and a contour, and they kick me out all the time. Okay, let me see your footage. Let me see everything you're putting on YouTube. Oh, for sure, you should have got kicked. You should have got permaban, bro. You should have felt the wrath of the ban hammer for the crap you're pulling at that field. So when I hear things about City, I take it with a grain of salt based on who's telling me this stuff. Like, of course you got kicked. Should have done that in the first place. You, as an intermediate or an experienced player, should know City doesn't joke around with that stuff. Go somewhere else. Another criticism I kind of hear about through the airsoft grapevine is that Joey doesn't care about the public players. He cares more about private parties. I doubt that. So according to the website, you get 2 hours for 19 kids, and it's $350. That's not a lot of time, and arguably he loses money, because if you equate 19 players versus $350 and compare that to what his normal field and rental fee would be, there's no money in that. Not doing a lot of money. So I don't necessarily take that with a grain of salt. The way I usually interpret that is the field is more beginner friendly. And I don't like that, because I'm not a beginning player. I want to do tournament stuff. I want to do edgy boy things. I want to do cool stuff with my contour, this, that, and the other. Well, no, you're not the demographic that City's trying to reach. We kind of know that is a mil-sim only. Even that I would argue, no, they're not. But whatever. Let's talk about the speed community of players, which is really the genre that doesn't agree with the field is run. If you're getting into tournament airsoft, and City is the only field you're going to be able to get to, yeah, if you're a teenager and you don't have your own car, or you just don't want to drive that far to another field, to my field, yeah, to a point, you might kind of get stifled. You're going to have a tough go, because City isn't necessarily known for investing as much into that community of players into another community, because you gotta remember, tournament airsoft, there's not a lot of money in that. There's just not a lot of money in that genre of player, and it takes a lot. Look at all the work that I've put in for tournament airsoft. It's still not paying the bills. What's paying our lease is our public play, and sometimes our birthday parties, depending on what we do. Depends. The speed, from what I see, as an outsider looking in, and as someone kind of in the know, the speed community at City is really run and managed by the players and teams like DBS. It used to be Asylum. They're kind of doing paintball things now, spoiler alert. It's really like DBS organizing stuff. And it's kids like Davis. If Davis wasn't there as a ref, I don't really think it would be as good an experience for like the speed night stuff, because that's how he gets down personally. But if you kind of look at some of the other guys reffing, none of them really rocking a dye mask and a contour and, doing speedy boy things. They're all wearing multicam pants and plate carriers and this, that, and the other, and they got like a battle belt with a pistol on. Cool, okay, that's your thing, God bless you. But yeah, if you're a speedy boy at City, it's a struggle. City has had, historically, City's only had 2 tournaments that I know about since 2016. The first one was right after they built the speed. So fun history fact, the speed field as it is now used to be in the back right corner of the field where the bus is, and it wasn't completely sectioned off. I believe the plan was to make it kind of modular so that you could use it for tournament stuff, and then you could also use it later as like public play, because the speed field was part of the main field, because when I used to get down on the main field, kids would go through there. So it didn't used to be completely isolated. It used to be kind of part, sort of similar to what TAC does with their speed field and their, the backside, I guess you would call it. So City's only had 2 tournaments. One was a 3-player TDM, which technically Jason hosted through Asylum, and he had it as a private party. A lot of kids didn't know that. So that 3-player tournament that Jason and Asylum did was technically a private party. So it wasn't really an in-house tournament in the sense that, like, when I put on a tournament at True Aim, that's in-house. No one has paid me to do that. Like, that's something I put on, the field sponsors it. That is an in-house tournament. City, to my knowledge, has never done an in-house tournament. They've had others do it for them, which is common. Even that tournament ended kind of rocky because the timing, like, they were still in the finals when public play was going, so you'd still get a couple public play BBs coming into the tournament field, which was kind of a problem. Then City hosted MLA, Major League Airsoft, which ended with some drama, but to be fair and clear, what happened with the MLA tournament was not City's fault. That was MLA's not fault. So the problem that they ran into was the MLA refs, for whatever reason, I never found out why, his refs weren't able to make it. So literally, last minute, the day of the tournament, Joey had to pull his in-house team who was going to compete, and he had to pull them as refs. All right, that's a problem. They didn't know the format to the point where they can enforce the rules, and there was a lot going on, just a lot of moving parts. But Joey, to his credit, was the reason that the Major League Airsoft tournament happened at City. He saved that tournament. He saved it. Not only did he save it, he loved it. I have never seen him that happy up to that point. He was smiling. He loved everything about that tournament. And it was, the DOA guys were there, all the edgy kids with dye, masks, and, contours and all that stuff were there. It was great. It was great. He loved the tournament. So it's when you talk about, I want to be a tournament airsofter. I want to do tournaments and competition, speed QB, stuff like that. Well, yes, City is a good starting point because they have the field and you can build your foundation there. That's 100% true. You will get your tournament fundamentals through guys at CQB City, through teams like DBS when they get down there. If any of the Asylum guys get down there, yeah, those guys have competed before. So you can use that as a building block. But you're probably not going to compete at City a whole lot just because that's not how he gets down, because, again, there's not a lot of money in it. I'm kind of curious to see how that Syndicate tournament is going to go, because my understanding is that Syndicate is not providing refs. The field is providing refs. I'll tell you from experience, if you're using public airsoft refs in a tournament environment, one of the criticisms, I'm calling it right now, one of the criticisms of that event is going to be ref staff and the refs not knowing what they're doing. I'm going to call it right now. I'm sorry. If you don't ref tournaments for airsoft, you struggle going into it. With a lot of I've seen it happen. I have had refs, I've just pulled them last minute and go, hey, will you help me ref this? And they did not do a good job because they didn't understand how to be a good tournament ref. So I'm very curious to see how that Syndicate thing goes down. I hope it goes over. I hope that is a relationship that goes well with Joey and they can keep doing it. That would be dope, because then I don't have to be the only one putting on tournaments up here, because that's getting annoying. I'm not gonna lie. It gets real old real fast. Can someone else please do this? Please? Why do I have to be the only one doing this? And the complaints that I'm hearing have been consistent. So there's really nothing you can tell me about City that hasn't kind of been a constant for a while. So again, let's go back into history. long ago, about 2016 to 17, my OGs will remember this. Matt will remember this. If Devin is still here, he will remember this. There was a team called WCA, which was mostly teenagers who were mostly kind of pricks. They broke rules. They filmed it. They were kind of like the OG edgy team. They get banned, blah, blah, blah. Joey saw this and banned him. He banned that. I think he banned the whole team outright fast. But then from that, those guys were saying, and other players were saying that, oh, well, Joey has banned speed soft. Like, that's a thing you can do. Joey's banned speed soft. No. He banned a team that was breaking the rules, that dress a certain way and portray themselves as a certain way. He didn't ban an entire style of play, which I don't even believe in anyway. He banned a group of assholes. That's what he did. Oh no, he banned HPA guns. Did he? Or did he ban a player who was breaking the rules with his HPA gun, said, hey, you can never use that gun again? Did he? So when I hear a complaint about something City's doing, I take it with a grain of salt. What is the complaint? What did you do? Because sometimes, let's be real. Sometimes when someone tells me something about a field they don't like, is it because you broke the rules and they made you accountable for your actions? Is it? But is it? So, yeah, about that. Did a group get overreacting? Yeah. So another thing I've seen is, you'll see in videos, you see this, that, and the other is, oh, I got banned for no good reason. What was the reason? Well, here's the video. Oh, you overshot a kid. But your comments and your IG following is like, oh no, you did nothing wrong, you little angel. Like, yo, you just overshot this kid like 7 times. Yeah, you got what was coming for you. You know you shouldn't have done that. You did it anyway. You glorified it in a YouTube video. You're out. Airsofters have gotta be. It's not airsofters. It's teenagers. Let's be real. Not the smartest demographic when you break a field rule and then put it online glorifying it with a mumble rap song, and your comments are like, yeah, F that kid. Like, wait a minute. Are you allowed to do that on the field? No. I'm gonna call it right. How is Zay not banned from City? Throwing that out there. You don't really get to say the field is gonna fail, or their player base has gone down, or any comments you have in reference to the perceived shortcomings, because Joey has been in this business probably longer than anyone in the region. His field has been featured on Fox 40 News. Fox 40 is the local regional news thing up here for the Sacramento area. CQB City's been featured on the local news. Milsim Junkie, remember that? Remember that relic? Oh, he is banned. Oh, good. Remember Milsim Junkie? Huge influencer for the area, big social media following, great hits on his videos. He was the regular at CQB City. So City's been in the news. They have received awards. I believe they've received awards from like City Commerce and Chambers of Commerce and things like that. That's fair, Bunzai. I'll get to that in a second. So he's hit all the marks as a successful business. CQB City's going to be around as long as Joey wants it to be, because he's been doing this long enough that he knows, kind of like in the same sense of Sunny with Tac City. He knows kids are going to come and go. He has his program. He sticks to his program. And if you don't want to be a part of his program, you take your money and go somewhere else. If you break the rules in his program, you're going to suffer the consequences. That's how it is. Joey has been running CQB City. Davis, help me out. What came first? Did City come first, or did GamePod come first? I can't recall. At any rate, he's been in the business for, is it safe to say, a decade? 10 years? Almost 10 years? Close to 10 years? He's been around longer than Ministry was, I believe. I think CQB City predates Ministry. Yeah, City came first. Thank you, Bunzai. Yeah, City came before GamePod. So he clearly knows what he's doing. The concept of, that's what the story was. yeah, there's a whole thing there. Game wasn't game. I think now yes, that Bonsai's correct. City is 15 years old. City's as old as my kid. Now I feel old. Yeah, so there's a whole thing with Craig and City, and there's a whole drama thing with that. Kids will say, hi Perry. Kids will say, oh, True Aim is better than City, or All Patriot is better than City, or this field is better than. That's not real. No field is the best or is better. If my field was better than City, then how come all the kids from City don't come to my field? If I'm supposed to be the best field, then how come in the summer our attendance went down 30%? No, our attendance went down like 40%. Even though we were doing tournaments, even though I had my speed field up, even though we had, the turf field up in late summer, how come I didn't have more kids going to my field? Oh, wait. Because there's more things to factor in for these fields. So there's no such thing as the best field. Now, some fields may be more accommodating for you. Some fields may have more, maybe you have a preference over, but this construct that young people have over something being the best or not isn't real. Am I going to talk all kinds of shit and always say that my field is the best? Yeah, I'm supposed to. That's part of the character, kids. That's part of the whole Caber thing. Of course I'm going to say these things. Do I believe them? No, I'm talking shit. What? No. You cannot say one field is the best, because if one field was the best or better than others, then my numbers, my sales, my dollars, my bank account for my business should reflect that. It doesn't. I believe City definitely gets more people on a Friday than I do. City, I think in a weekend they get more than I do as well. I can't recall. You have to remember, City is the only indoor field in the region, which means I'm gonna tell you right now, someone in the business, other outside entities, and this is real. This is 100% real, and this is also recent. I'll throw that out there later too. Outside entities are way more apt to want to work with an indoor field than an outdoor field. The reason Syndicate is at City is they're an indoor field. Let's get into this side rant. Let's look at who was competing in. I had my field sent 2 or 3 lines into both Syndicate events, and Ethan, who is also my chief financial officer for the corporation and the assistant field manager technically, competed in those events. So if you know that someone involved in the airsoft field business who manages a field, who is a tournament player, who knows your format, who knows everything, if you know that that field is going to be makes more sense from a business standpoint or a community standpoint, why would you go outside? Why would you pick True Aim? Or correction, why would you pick City over True Aim? It's indoor. Syndicate wants to be in an indoor field, and I'm not mad at that, because indoor fields are much easier to conduct business in. I wish we were an indoor field. I don't want to be an outdoor field. You are subject to so much. You are subject to so much. We have an outdoor business. Mostly the weather 100% impacts my numbers. That's why we didn't do Milsim days or kids days really in summer. That's why. Because, yeah, rip board. Because of weather. Water break. So, hi John, by the way. I put on pajamas last night and missed you. So, City is not a quote-unquote bad field. That because the construct or the context of bad is relative to you. It's the same as I like to eat this kind of food, I wear these kind of clothes, I listen to this kind of music. It's the same individual preferences. There's no such thing as a bad airsoft field. If it was bad, it would go out of business. I personally think GamePod is a bad field But the definition of bad is it isn't in my... I was there last night at Gee. Oh, you go to morning. Yeah, I'm not all about that life. I think GamePod is a bad field per my personal definition. When I say bad field, what I really mean is they don't meet my player expectations of how I want my airsoft experience to be. But if you look at their number, I mean, they have Evite coming there on the 2nd. Evite ain't coming to my field. I don't think I'd, depending on the particulars, I don't know if I'd want that anyway. Evite is going there. All the big kids in the industry want to go to GamePod. Speed QB, the SYG guys, when they were up here last time, what fields did they go to? GamePod. So what does that tell you? Look at how toxic GamePod is perceived to be, and now the SYG guys are going up there. When they come up, they didn't come to All Patriot, they didn't go to CQB City, they didn't even go to True Aim, and we sell their products. They went to GamePod. That is relevant to me. So it's not a bad field. It's just, what do you want your experience to be? Do you want footage? Do you just want to go to a field because it's a big name field? Do you want to go to the prestige, going to the prestige of that field? It's what you want to do, bro. So stop complaining about City, because you still go there. So obviously they appeal to you in some way. Now, Fernie boy, the problem comes in when you get more specific to what airsoft niche you want to be. So like if you go to if I go talk to their rentals or their casual players that just started playing, they will have no idea that players don't like the City rule set, or that, they're not going to have any concept of it. Let's say you want to be a speedy boy, right? You want to do tournament airsoft. Yeah, you should probably come to my field. Say you want to be a little edgy boy, do edgy boy things. Yeah, I'm pretty accommodating to that. I have a much more aggressive rule set than other fields do. I manage it more aggressively than other fields do. But you'll have like guys from All Patriot. They don't want to come to my field because it's too close, distance-wise, or this, that, and the other. That's fair. That doesn't mean that my field is good or bad. It just means I will be more accommodating to styles where other fields might not be. What other field not only has one turf field, I have 2 turf airsoft fields for airsoft. Not a paintball field. I'm an airsoft field that has airsoft turf fields. So if you want to do tournament style airsoft, yeah, then my field makes perfect sense for you to come to. If you want more mil-simmy realism blah 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 in this facade that kids have for public play, no, I don't accommodate that at all. I don't. My field doesn't accommodate shields. I think shields are stupid. All Patriot, I believe, also has a similar rule set to mine where they're not really that shield friendly. But I have a mil-sim day. Kids don't want to come to the mil-sim day because there's too many rules in the mil-sim day. So now they want this, but what it all comes down to is the customer 9 times out of 10 doesn't know what the hell they want. They think they know what they want, but what they want is are these big grandiose things. What they want to play with Novrich and Alphonse, and they want to do all this stuff for $20. So what experience do you think you're going to get with $20 to $30? It's only going to go that far. So you have to look at what fields are the most accommodating to your experience, and you have to go there. Am I crazy? Open this up to Q&A. Am I crazy? Bonsai had a good point. He wanted more ref staff. That's fair. I don't know what their staffing situation looks like. That's kind of a business thing. Some of the guys he volunteers are volunteers. Some of the dudes he pays. Okay. We currently have, I think, 7 or 8 total staff members at my field. The way that I run my field, I'll have 2 on the desk now because we had 2 break-ins, so that was significant. So now we have 2 on the desk, and one of those 2 is a rover to basically kind of act as a security. not really a security guard, but they just sort of walk around and check, make sure everyone's following the rules. And then I'll have 3 refs on my main field minimum. Thanks, Ricky. Then I'll have 3 refs minimum on my main field. I always want, even if I only have 40 kids, the staffing is the same. And I don't send staff home. So you have to really look at the business model, because the business model tells you or usually gives you a clue as to why staffing is or is not adequate to your liking. So Playland 707 only had 1 ref for their walk-ons. So that field is maybe half the size of a cul-de-sac. It was like the size of the wide part of a cul-de-sac. So on that field, you can get away with it. It's city. Even then, though, so when kids ask for more refs, usually my response is, okay, how many refs do you want on a field? Oh, I would just like 1 more, or I would like ref focus to be in here. There's like, okay, that's fair. How many refs do you want? There should be 10 refs. That's expensive. That's not going to happen. So that's why in my player survey, that's one of the questions I want. So according to my analytic that I have of player feedback, 3 is enough. They don't want 5, they don't want 4. 3. I give them 3. When my analytics change, I change. But that is my business model. I believe, Davis, if you're still in chat, let me know if this is correct. If they are wearing a red plate carrier, they're a volunteer. And they're a volunteer ref. And they basically play for free. And I think usually it's because they're good kids. Like Joey has a good sense of them. And kind of this, that, and the other. I don't necessarily... I do and don't do that. So the downside of a volunteer kind of is you don't necessarily... depending on how your relationship is, you don't necessarily have them, like... You can't tell them to do anything. They're a volunteer. They're not your employee. You don't really have any control over them. They're not really getting paid. So you really have to be real... So like, Tacos acts as my volunteer refs when I need them. Oh, they have a red plate carrier. They're a regular ref. Okay, cool. Tacos, I'll use them to ref and to help out when I can. And there's like Martine, if he's in, he'll usually kind of help me out if I'm doing stuff. But I don't know how many paid refs he has, but then the other thing you need to think about is if you're using is money. Again, it goes back to business model. So I understand that my teenage staff, my teenagers, Ethan, or even not necessarily teenagers, even anyone in their late teens, early 20s, at some point they're going to go off and do their own thing. So ref staff is really hard to maintain. So little Ethan Anderson, my shopkeeper, when he leaves for college, I'm already trying to scout out who's going to take his place as my high kappa guy, because that's a specialty skill that I now need to fill. That kind of makes sense. So ref staff, employee retention and attrition is no different in airsoft than in any other business. It's the same thing. It's no different. That was a criticism of my agency when I was a cop, is we could not keep officers. This was also because the agency was just a shit show. But one of the problems we had is guys kept coming and going, so we lost consistency. Even supervisors. So we'd have a lieutenant take a better paying job or a job that was closer to their house, maybe in San Francisco or in SoCal or out of state. And then we'd get a new lieutenant to come in, wanted to do their own program, didn't want to follow the pre-existing program that we had established that was working. They wanted to come in and change everything, do their own thing. That is no different in airsoft than in any other business. That is just attrition. What's the other? Employee attrition and retention. That's what it is. I also don't know, to your point, Bonsai, I don't know what has happened to the business model during the pandemic. I don't know. So it could very, very well be, how's my phone battery doing? Okay. It could very well be that the pandemic hit cities so hard Joey is still trying to bounce back financially. I don't know what his books look like. That is a thing that can happen. But when you talk about staffing, there's a bigger conversation to be had of what does the business model look like. So I don't know. Or just people, maybe he had all those guys and slowly they all left and he isn't happy with anyone that's come up to him to work for him. So maybe he has people like all the time like, yo, I want to ref for you, I want to ref for you, I want to work for you. And he goes, no, you're dumber than a wet bag of rags. No, you're not going to work for me, you're an idiot. That can happen also. I will say, I don't know if it's necessarily the business model or whatever, because Davis lives in Roseville. He lives 10 minutes away from my field. He works part-time at City. So clearly, Joey is doing something right with his employees because he retains a guy for a part-time job that lives roughly an hour away. Have you gone through that traffic? It's balls. So if Davis is still at City working there, clearly Joey is doing something right. It really falls onto the individuals. We do not, if we can find an indoor within the next 2 years, we'll take an indoor facility, but that's chaos right now. Yeah, you left because of you had a problem with a ref. That's employee on employee. That's gonna happen. Everything I've heard, Joey's all this shady stuff. Like, I haven't heard that. And if Davis is still working there, he was there. He was reffing when I was there. He goes there all the time. Unless he's just volunteering his time. But the point I'm making is you have a guy who lives in Roseville, which is approximately a 45 to an hour drive, still going to City consistently just about every weekend. Whether he's working there or volunteering is irrelevant. He's going there. He goes there way more than he comes to my field, and we're basically in his front yard. So clearly, Joey's doing something right. He's clearly doing something right with his business. If he's able to retain that one guy, the one person tells me that something is being done correctly. Because if you have one guy, unless we're gonna say Davis is brainwashed, which I doubt, he's a bright kid. So there's clearly something right being going on with the business model or with the way Joey manages his employees. He's clearly doing something right as a manager. Is that it? Do I have any other questions for CQB City? And would anyone else like me to tell them that their opinion is stupid about the city for various reasons? I dribbled. Ours party committed to significant changes to the city. Yeah, that's fair. I don't know, that could be a money thing, or it could just be that he already has those pre-existing plans being made, and he just doesn't care to leave. Anytime someone suggests something to me, usually I've either thought about it about a dozen times, and it's not gonna work for the money I want to spend, or we're already doing it. We have to remember, when people are telling you over and over and over again, it gets real annoying, and you just get annoyed at the same question being asked. So, maybe. There's a lot of things that go on there. There's a lot of stuff that happens. You're welcome, Davis. You're a saint. I'd like to try you, Ryan. Ryan, slide in my DMs. I have some stuff to tell you. I want to see if you want to come up to my spot on the weekend of the 16th. We'll talk. Hello, Nick. Is that it? Does that sort of conclude the Q&A city bitch session where I tell you to stop being such a bastard and stop breaking all his rules and posting it online because Joey's probably right? And also to stop going to a field that you don't want to go to in the first place? Sure, Matt, you can run it at 400 FPS. We'll chrono it with 2s, but you can only use 12s. That's called troll counter troll. That's how that works. Is that it? Alright, that's it. On some field notes, we have a huge weekend coming up the 16th, 17th of October. Nick, you're late to the party. I'm gonna do a separate. You know what? I'm gonna do a separate live stream about the free speed night. So I'm gonna end this live stream and then start another one. So give me a second here.
Caber, who the f*** are you, nerd?